Support WrestleTalk!
Give us a subscribe.
Thank you for your awesome support on Patreon. The Wonderwall, Brian Gallagher. Hello and welcome to the WrestleTalk Mega News. I am Luke Owen. And why yes, I am wearing a super lovely Ollie Davis t-shirt. And why yes, it is available today. And why yes, there are more details coming about it later in this news episode. Also be sure to give this channel a subscribe, press the thumbs up button, and leave a comment down below to tell us which of our lovely new t-shirts you're going to be buying for Christmas. Support WrestleTalk like this awesome person from AEW Dynamite this past Wednesday. John Moxley's WrestleTalk confirmed. And that fan was in attendance to not only get a whopping 50 cents off Chris Jericho's new t-shirts, but also witnessed the announcement that Jericho has teamed with Knocking Point to launch a new sparkling white wine called, ooh, a little bit of the bubbly. Of course, it cannot be called champagne as it wasn't made in the Champagne region of France. In fact, any champagne not made in that region is sparkling white wine, despite everyone calling it champagne, even though by its very definition, it's not. It's a bit like Star Trek: The Next Generation. In many ways, it's superior, but it will never be as recognized as the original. And it would appear that the announcement of littlebitofthebubbly.com got a lot of people curious to know if it was a real website. So many curious cats, in fact, that the website crashed in about 10 minutes of going live. Knocking Point, which was co-founded by Arrow star Stephen Amell, who had a match at All In last year against Christopher Daniels, tweeted that they've added a ton of new servers to cope with the bubbly demands, and later noted the wine has not sold out, just keep on trying. Add to basket, along with the new WrestleTalk t-shirt. Speaking of nice treats, and we've all had nice treats this year from the world of Firefly Funhouse. That segue sort of worked. It's wild to think that those teasers that came on the Raws and SmackDowns after WrestleMania led to one of the creative highs of 2019. Bray Wyatt's new character change to the children's entertainer Mr. Rogers type figure with puppet friends, who then wrestles as the super scary and terrifying fiend who walks to the ring with a severed head. It was a gimmick that got so over with the crowd, despite WWE's best efforts, that he's the current Blue Universal Champion on SmackDown and the biggest merchandise seller in the company. And since the character reveal, many fans have speculated on whether Wyatt would add new members to his group like he did with the Wyatt family. Something that might come to pass, as it was announced earlier this week by WWE that a new Firefly Funhouse member would debut on tonight's episode of SmackDown on Fox. This led to some other speculation that it could be a new female sidekick, with some even suggesting that it could be Sister Abigail, although I thought that was Abby, or, you know, Bray himself. This narrative was further pushed when contracted WWE costume designer Erica Gimbel tweeted a dress she'd supposedly worked on with the phrase, "let her in," which she then deleted. It also came around the same time that Liv Morgan, who's been absent from TV for some time with a promise of a new character, tweeted, "almost." However, there are works, and there are works, and it would appear we've all been worked, brother. After doing some digging around, Fightful and Bell to Bell writer Kristen Ashley discovered that Erica Gimbel, a verified account that was followed by several WWE wrestlers, was not who she claimed to be. Ashley discovered that Gimbel had purged all of her Twitter posts before April of this year. She then did some reverse Google image searches with a friend to discover that Erica claimed to wear a Givenchy dress for a Marine Corps ball, but it was actually a Nicholas the Label dress, no not that Nicholas, from addiction designer Consignment Boutique in a totally different state. Erica also claimed to write an article about Mandy Rose's app for women's health, as well as have a conversation with Saudi Arabia's Vice President of Education about the Natalia vs. Lacey Evans match at Crown Jewel for the Huffington Post. Kristen Ashley notes that neither of these articles exist. And with her Phoenix Wright super sleuthing skills, Kristen Ashley discovered that Erica Gimbel was in fact an actor from the Bravo reality TV show Princesses Long Island, and someone hacked her Twitter account to create this new persona of someone who is a WWE costume designer. Ryan Satin of Pro Wrestling Sheet reposted this excellent journalistic work saying, in regards to that video last night that seemed to tease a female Firefly Funhouse costume, it would appear as though the woman who shared it is a fraud. Looks like she possibly hacked the account of someone who hadn't used theirs in years, then changed the bio. So yeah, we are going to find out who the new member of the Firefly Funhouse is tonight, but it possibly isn't a female wrestling sidekick. And you know, it's really a shame that all of Kristen's Twitter stuff happened in the same week where Batista and Dana Brooke are thirsty for each other's gyms. Otherwise, this would have been the best bit of Twitter all week. I mean, it's no Wagatha Christie, but it's still pretty good. Speaking of Ryan Satin, and the Pro Wrestling Sheet writer was announced as one of the special correspondents for WWE Backstage on FS1, a show that was originally designed to be an honest look about news coming out of WWE. The UFC version of the show on the same channel was brutally honest about the company and would cover topics like scandals, contracts coming to an end, and drug tests. WWE Backstage, however, has not been that show, and has instead broadly been PR fluff to announce things like The Miz signing a new deal with the company. They didn't touch WWE wrestlers being stuck in Saudi Arabia and all the news and rumors that came with that. They didn't talk about ACH and his comments about racism in WWE. And this week they didn't mention Corey Graves' tweet that caused Mauro Ranallo to miss Survivor Series and NXT. And when asked by Wrestling Inc. on why WWE Backstage didn't cover these types of stories, Ryan Satin responded, "I don't think they want me there for opinions as they want me there to break news. When it comes to negative stories, I believe there will be times when I have to talk about negative things. It's just we're in week 2 and nothing super negative has happened for me to discuss." Yeah, Ryan, nothing super serious has happened in WWE over the last couple of weeks apart from all those things I just listed. Satin even contradicts himself, saying that he suggested they talk about the Saudi Arabia controversy, but claims the running order for the show was already in place and couldn't be altered. When asked about ACH, Satin replied, "When it comes to the ACH situation, there's a lot of unknowns, and I think they'd rather play it safe. It's a case-by-case basis." But while WWE might have dropped the ball with Backstage, they certainly didn't with their push of NXT at Survivor Series. It was a surprising Survivor Series by most expectations, with the Black and Gold brand winning the night overall with 4 compared to SmackDown's 2 wins and Raw's 1. Team NXT won the women's 5-on-5-on-5. Roderick Strong pinned Shinsuke Nakamura. Lio Rush successfully defended his Cruiserweight Championship, and Shayna Baszler won the main event over Raw Women's Champion Becky Lynch and SmackDown Women's Champion Bayley. And of course, don't you forget about Keith, as he was one of the final 2 in the men's elimination match against top dog Roman Reigns. And as many suspected, it's being reported that the reason for this big NXT win was to put over the brand and help them in the Wednesday Night War ratings war against AEW, as it had been on the losing side prior to their involvement in Survivor Series. Dave Meltzer writes in the Wrestling Observer newsletter, "You could very clearly see the priority right now is trying to market the NXT brand as not being viewed as developmental or lesser, and most importantly, use Survivor Series to increase Wednesday night ratings. From a strategic standpoint, they couldn't have done better." Meltzer also notes that following Survivor Series, we're unlikely to see Raw and SmackDown stars appear on NXT like they did in the build to the pay-per-view, with the idea being that viewers will tune in to see the people that beat the main roster talent. And due to Thanksgiving, we won't know if NXT beat AEW in the ratings this week, at least not at the time of this recording, but it is expected to do so with a post-pay-per-view bump, even though Raw drew 2.1 million viewers this week following Survivor Series, which is the second lowest non-holiday rating for the show in 22 years. The record low came just 2 weeks ago when it went head-to-head with a football game that drew 12.5 million viewers. Of the top pushed NXT stars on the show, like Rhea Ripley, Matt Riddle, and don't you forget about Keith, it was Shayna Baszler who got the biggest win of the night when she tapped out Bayley before being laid out by Becky Lynch. A lot of the build of that match was centered around Becky and Baszler, and it would appear that is set to continue into the new year. I'm a poet, and I didn't even know I was rhyming those words. But it happened anyway. Dave Meltzer is reporting the idea of the match, and really the entire angle, was for Baszler. Baszler carries herself and talks like a badass bully. The original plan was for her to be on the main roster in 2020. Based on so much of the build and the match and post-match, it appears she is being groomed for Becky Lynch. Well, that's all from me today, but before I get out of here, I did want to once again plug our brand new merchandise. Now, a lot of you have asked about WrestleTalk merch, and this is the 3rd time we've tried to get it right. So sorry about the other 2 times. But hey, this time we actually definitely for sure got it right. And to tell you more, here's housemate Simon.
Now, everyone in wrestling does merch, sure. But when WrestleTalk came to me and said, "Simon, you look great today," and I thought, wow, what a nice compliment. But what did you want to talk about? And they said, "We need some simple photos done of our new t-shirts, nothing crazy." And I thought, I hear what you're saying. So I looked for inspiration from some of our great creative visionaries. Elon Musk, Steve Jobs, rest in peace, and of course Jaden Smith. And it was actually Jaden who said, to change something, you need to shock it. And that is exactly what I've done.
A new faction debuted in AEW, and there's a new challenger to Adam Cole on NXT. Check out the WrestleTalk live reviews of NXT and AEW by clicking the videos on screen right now. Thank you for watching, and a special thank you to our Patreon pledge hammers, some of which you can see scrolling their way into my stomach. I've been Luke Owen, and that were wrestling.